saw my entire life on like a panoramic, um, 360-degree screen, but I also had the ability to enter the life review. So it's like I was watching a movie, but I was also in the movie, and I was experiencing my life review from the perspective of all of the characters of the movie. So it wasn't just my life, I was also experiencing my life from others' perspectives. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. I don't know, I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and my dad used to discipline my brother and I with a belt. That's how he would discipline us. And my brother's 4 years older than me. So from my perspective as a kid, obviously I hated that, and I don't condone that at all, and I don't think it was right. But my entire life until I had this near death experience, I absolutely hated him for it, and I would never, ever, ever forgive him for it. And in this life review, I was able to actually experience those beatings from my dad's perspective. And from his perspective, I had never known, but he thought what he was doing was right. He was like, my kids need discipline, and this is what I believe discipline to be. So from his perspective, I got to understand that because of the life review, he was coming from a good place, and he was actually trying to express love to my brother and I. So I was able to experience memories like that, and just every single memory of my life in all types of detail and clarity. It was just incredible. And the last, the last memory of my life review was one where it just stuck with me. I don't know. My parents divorced when I was 8, and after that, a man entered my mom's life. His name was Mike, and he was just what I needed from a father figure. He didn't discipline us in the same way. He was just very loving and nurturing and gentle. And anyways, we played this beautiful basketball game one time when I was 12. And I don't know why it stuck with me my entire life, but it did. And in the life review, I was able to experience it again, and it was just beautiful. It was a good way to end my life review. That said, after that memory and my life review was done, I couldn't help but feel angry with myself and upset at myself for how I decided to live my life. And I was afraid of what was next. I wasn't ready to die. And there's so many reasons to that at the time. I didn't believe in an afterlife before my experience, so that contributed to it. But also the way in which I lived my life, it was just, I don't know, I just wasn't happy with it at that time. And it sucked because I couldn't do anything about it after my life review. It was my last moment. So after the fear and the anger subsided, I was transferred into this place that was just indescribable by words. It was like everything. I was viewing it from the perspective of the inside of a diamond. It was just serene and crystally, and there were refracted combinations of light that just formed one universal color. It was just beautiful. And in this place, the voice in my head that was beating me down about how I lived my life after my life review, it didn't exist. I didn't have this voice in my head. I was pure presence, pure bliss, unconditional love. And I was in this place for what felt like uh, forever before a strange distant figure appeared. And as I approached this distant figure, immediately I was past a basketball, and I began to play this basketball game with this strange figure who happened to be my stepdad, Mike. And it was a recreation of the moment I just saw in my life review just moments ago, or however long ago. I don't know. I didn't have any concept of time. In fact, time and I felt like we were the same thing. Um, so, anyways, Mike and I played this beautiful game of basketball, which lasts forever, it feels like. And I'll mention that neither of us had a body or an ability to speak words, because there was no use for either of those things. We both, like, I don't know, it's so hard to describe, but we both just knew. We just knew that we were playing a game of basketball, and we didn't need a body, and we knew what each other was thinking. So there's no need for real communication. But anyways, after the beautiful game of basketball, which lasted forever, Mike slowly like stepped away from me, and his tone changed, and he was like, okay, essentially this is what, if words existed, this is what he would have said. Um, Essentially what he said was, okay, playtime's over. Let's get serious. There's a reason that you're here, and there's a reason that I'm here. I'm here because I know how you felt after your life review. I know that you desperately wanted a second chance. Well, I'm here because I'm here to present to you that second chance. But if you take the second chance, you have an obligation and a responsibility to live out your great purpose. That's what he called it, was a great purpose. So it didn't feel like I had much of a decision, and I made my decision. And right when I did, he disappeared, and I was face to face with myself on the operating table. It was as if a glass panel was separating me from up here and me from the operating table. And I
Mm.
watched as the doctors injected me with the shot that saved my life. And I woke up on the table and I was punching the doctors because I was fighting with myself about the decision I had just made to come back, because that place was so perfect.
How were you playing basketball without a body? Like, how did that work?
I wish I could describe it, Lauren. It was, we just knew. It was just this knowing of all. Um, and again, it sounds like it doesn't make sense in earthly terms, but it really just, it just was. It was just a recreation of the moment, that of the life review. I don't know. I wish, I've never been asked that question, but I wish I could have a better answer to it, because I just don't know how to answer it.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I feel like you've done, though, a good job of putting a lot of this other stuff into words. You mentioned that it was your stepfather was like a strange figure coming up to you. When did you realize, oh, that's my stepdad?
I can't I can't pinpoint a moment, because I didn't have any concept of time or space really even. It just, when he appeared, um, it was almost as if I saw him in a distant, and then in a flash of a second, it was just, he was here. There was really no transition period between like, what is that? Oh, that's my stepdad. It was more so just, and then bam, that's him. I don't know if that
That's
explains it
cool.
either. These questions are so hard to answer.
No, but you're doing, I appreciate the answers. I think, I mean, I feel like with a lot of the people I've spoken to, it's, my understanding is it's no words there. Like what you said, it's communication almost through like telepathy. And so I appreciate everyone who I've spoken to, like their work translating it almost into a different language. So I understand. What did the realm, you said that it was like looking around within a diamond. Was it like a basketball court? Were you in nature? What kind of things were around you?
Yes. So it was the recreation of the life review moment. So I'll describe that.
Mm.
It's funny, like I actually have a picture on my phone. Guess my mom took a picture of us playing. So the basketball court was concrete. Obviously in that place it wasn't concrete. Concrete didn't exist there, but
Mm.
the scene was set where I was on a concrete court with no shoes on, because I didn't have any shoes on in real life, and he was playing against me. He was actually passing me the basketball in the picture, and there were trees in the background, because it was in kind of a rural area, and you couldn't see the basketball hoop, but it was like you could tell that we were facing this way. Um, Again, that's the best answer I can come up with.
When he said, you to live your great purpose, did you know what that
Mhm.
was at the time?
No, I didn't, and I haven't for years. After the near-death experience happened, I just returned to my life as it was before for a long time. Like I returned to baseball, I returned to, I don't know, listening to the voice in my head, directing and guiding my life. So for a long time, I kind of just brushed it off as if it was just a dream, and as if that didn't actually happen. But to answer your question, no, at the time I had no idea, and I didn't even take it very seriously, honestly.
Do you know what your purpose is now?
I'll say this. I have a lot better of an idea. It's hard to say it's one specific thing, um, But I do feel as if I've been brought back to bring to the world a message, and that message is, I call it becoming ready to die. And
Mhm.
the reason that I called it that is because when I died after my life review, I felt so afraid of what was next, and that's just an indescribably terrible feeling that I can't describe. Um, but I feel as if becoming ready to die is a mission that I've been brought back to share, to combat that feeling, to ensure that nobody else ever has to feel that.